In this video, we'll quickly raise an army of spooky spirits in one easy step, using ghost juice. How do you paint a miniature of a ghost? Ghosts are supposed to be these kind of ethereal, otherworldly things. Sure, like if your ghost miniature is just a guy in a sheet with some holes cut in it, then that's probably pretty simple. You just paint that model white and you go on to the next one. But if you want the ghost to look more like something from movies or TV, then you need to get a little bit more interesting with it. But that doesn't mean that it needs to be difficult. It can actually be easy for anyone, and really fast. This technique originally came from my friend Phil Hall. You may know him from YouTube as the Glacial Geek. Pachow. And I've kind of expanded on his idea a little bit. He and I are part of the Army Painter Factory team, and we were over in Denmark back in April checking out, well, you know, the factory. And I was telling him about me and Vince's upcoming game, Deth Wizards. It's out now, of course, you know, link in the description below. But back in April, it was still upcoming. Anyway, he wanted to paint a horde for the game before release. When you watch his video, again, Pachow, he has a whole bunch of different types of undead in his undead horde, but he painted a ghost, and I really liked how it turned out, like a lot. I knew that the first Deth Wizards horde that I wanted to paint was going to be like, oops, all spirits. So I started by using Phil's idea as kind of a jumping off point. If I'm honest, I didn't really add a ton onto it, right? Like maybe one or two extra steps, but it's still really fast and easy the way that I'm doing it. It's so fast that I've honestly thought about using this technique to paint a Night Haunts spearhead for Age of Sigmar 4.0, you know, in this manner, just to see how quick I can do it. But it is like 34, 36 models, so I don't know. All right, so let's get started. First step is to prime your miniature. And remember, any miniature can be a ghost if you believe in yourself. And also, you know, if you paint it like a ghost. You can just simply prime the model white if you'd like, and then go on to the next step. That will work. Or you can prime the model black like I did, and then give it a heavy white zenithal. Now, by heavy, I don't mean thick. I don't mean you spray the white on thick from above. You know, what I mean is that you spray it, and in a normal zenithal, you usually leave a little bit of the black and the shadows and stuff like that. In this situation, I would say you would want to leave less, right? So I've just covered up the majority of the black primer. Now, why prime black and then, you know, a heavy white layer that covers up most of the black? It's so that you do still get a little bit of variation in shadow in some of the deepest recesses. But again, you certainly don't have to do it this way. Once you've got your ghost models primed, and you've given them a good long time to dry too, preferably overnight, that's what I usually do. Then it is time for the most important step, and that's to cover them in ghost juice, or as it's technically named, pastel seafoam speed paint from the Army Painter. It is just so easy, literally. You just slop it on there, one thick coat. That's all you do, right over the white, the whole model. You just slop it on there. Use a big brush, like maybe like a number 4 or a number 6, you know, whatever you've got, something like that. And if it pools too much in some spots, like in crevices and like recesses and stuff like that, then just use your brush to kind of redistribute the wealth and move the extra paint to other areas that need it. It's really, really quick and easy. In fact, it's so fast, I'm going to show you footage at normal speed of me painting a model of it's an undead warrior from Fireforge games, and turning him into a ghost in 1 minute and 30 seconds from start to finish. Again, real time. Starting now. And done. That's it. At this point, you could just let the speed paint dry and then paint the base however you like to do that, and do the rim, and you've got yourself a finished ghost. That's all it takes. But one more quick and easy step can really help to elevate the look. If you want to take your ghosts to the next level, then all you have to do is just dry brush them white. In this situation, I'm using matte white Fanatic paint from the Army Painter, and that will just add ethereal highlights to your glowing greenish ghosts. A note, if you're painting a floaty ghost miniature like the ones like the Night Haunts from Games Workshop, they're all kind of basically balanced on one little piece, right? They're very delicate, so you're going to want to support the models with your fingers, not just hold the base when you're dry brushing them. Other normal, non-floaty figures that you're turning into ghosts probably won't need as much care. Your ghosts are now done. Just paint your bases. I generally paint my fantasy miniatures bases pretty much all the same. I start with bootstrap brown Fanatic paint on the ground, right? Then I throw some dark tone wash over that, let that completely dry. Then I use uniform gray Fanatic paint on the rocks, just sort of pick those out. Then after that's all dry, I dry brush with ash gray, and then they're all done. But because I'm a fancy lad, and ghosts I think should glow, in my opinion, personally, then I like to do a very simple kind of object source lighting, or OSL effect, on my bases. So we head back to the airbrush, which is where this all started, but you might be able to do this with dry brush as well. Airbrush is easier though. Again, we're keeping it simple. I just used a color called Toxic Mist from the Army Painter Air Paint line and just kind of sprayed it on the bases, mostly keeping the spray in the middle, right, around the model, or kind of underneath the model where they touch the ground in the case of the floaty kind of Night Haunt guys. Again, start small, grow slowly. It's not just my motto in life, it's also good advice when airbrushing. You can always add more paint when airbrushing, but you can't add less once it's sprayed. And then, finally, we paint the rims on our bases and our ghostly horde is finished. I'm using this mixture of models for Deth Wizards to be commanded by my cool Spirit Color Necromancer that I painted on Twitch about a month back or so. But you could use this technique for cool ghosts in any fantasy miniatures game, or maybe even for ghosts and other spirits in like role-playing games like Dungeons & Dragons or whatever. The technique is so fast and so easy that it'll take nearly no time at all. Thanks again to Phil, the Glacial Geek, for coming up with it and inspiring me. So I very quickly rocked through a dozen ghosts for my undead horde, and it was super easy and fun, and quick. You just need your pastel seafoam speed paint, aka ghost juice, over a white primer and you're ready to haunt. If you want to get a little fancier, you can do some simple dry brushing or even some OSL on the bases, and you can also do that zenithal thing at the beginning like I mentioned as well. Do you think you might try this technique to raise your ghostly army? Let me know down in the comments below. If you liked this technique, hit the like button also down there right underneath the video. It really helps me and the channel out. And it's free. Another thing that's free, subscribing to the channel. That way you'll be able to find out about every video that I make every single Friday. Thanks for watching.